Hello, and thank you for joining us on the news at 4. We are staying with the extraordinary summit of ECOWAS, where authority of heads of state and government meet on the political peace and security situation in the West African region. At the opening ceremony holding at the presidential villa in Abuja, President Bola Tinubu says the body will re-examine the current approach on sanctions. There are speculations that the meeting will deliberate on its current sanctions imposed on Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, as all the suspended countries were invited for the summit and allocated seats. The communique will be presented at the end of the summit. And to other matters, in a bid to improve food supply across the nation, the federal government is set to release 42,000 metric tons of assorted food commodities to support the vulnerable population in Nigeria. The grains in 7 locations of strategic reserve are now being bagged for onward delivery to the National Emergency Management Agency. Now, this will be complemented by the 60,000 metric tons of milled rice, which will be purchased by the federal government from the mega rice millers. Minister of Agriculture Abubakar Kyari said there is a noticeable reduction in commodity prices across major grain markets in the country. The federal government is also ramping up food production by boosting dry season farming under the National Agricultural Growth Scheme. And to support the federal government's effort to stabilize food prices and ensure food security, the Nigeria Agriculture Quarantine Service has initiated a nationwide crackdown on the smuggling and hoarding of agricultural commodities. The action is part of the agency's mandate to regulate the handling of agricultural products in Nigeria, ensuring they are safe for consumption and available at fair prices to the Nigerian populace. According to the Acting Controller General Godwin Audu, it says officers of the agencies are working tirelessly across the country's borders and control posts, conducting rigorous inspections and monitoring to ensure no agro-commodity is exported. Now let's turn our attention to Katsina, where the state government has inaugurated a special task force to ensure compliance with measures to ensure food security. This is among many measures taken by the state government to ensure availability of food items across the state. Abdulatif Yusuf has more details on this.
With the recent hike in food prices across the board, Katsina already had faced a major setback in food production in the last few years due to insecurity. Before now, farmers in the state cultivated over 1.60 million hectares of land to produce assorted grains for domestic use and supply to other markets in the country and beyond. About 9 local governments in the southern part of the state, known to be major suppliers of maize, millet, cotton, and many agricultural produce, are now witnessing a major setback in farming because of the prevailing insecurity. The government is concerned about the trend of events and consequences of possible shortage of food if the situation persists.
Our food, and food, you know what it means for us to be. It's a component of survival. Nobody can survive without food. And therefore, the rate at which the prices are going up, certainly the government has responsibility in coming in to address this issue.
The sudden hike in food items is a reality many families are still struggling to cope with. At present, a measure of maize, millet, and some grains cost about 1,500 naira as against their usual price of 700 naira each. We support the new effort by the state government to put certain level of control on food merchants can store or even export outside the country. Otherwise, there will be a problem, like what is happening in other parts of the country. We are not praying for anything to go beyond what is obtainable now, but seriously, government must introduce some serious interventions to forestall possible food crisis. The task ahead of this committee of senior citizens of the state are many, especially now that the Ramadan is just around the corner, a period when Muslims are expected to show generosity to fellow believers.
as contained in Food Security Promotion Order as follows. Number 1, to identify grain merchants within the state, to sensitize merchants against hoarding of grains and any other act that will lead to price increase. Invite relevant stakeholders as regards to prices of grains and come up with solutions. Stabilize the prices of grains by addressing all factors giving rise to price increase.
Although the federal government is working out release of grains from its reserves, efforts to stop illegal export of food items across the country are also yielding results. Abdulatif Yusuf, TVC News, Katsina.
And back here in the southwest, the Ogun State government has placed an order for the purchase of 100 trailer loads of rice to be sold at cheaper rate to residents to cushion the effect